Entrepreneurs are made, not born. If you find yourself in a place where you are unfulfilled emotionally, financially, but feel as though becoming a business owner is not the right path for you because you're not a quote unquote an entrepreneur, know this. Entrepreneurs are made, not born. There's 4 qualities that we have found to be a telltale sign of you're going to be able to become a great entrepreneur. And these things you don't have to have today, but you have to be willing to embrace them over the course of growing a business. Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that building a business, whether it's a side hustle or eventually you want to do it full time, is the way to become financially free, to reach a next level emotionally, and to eventually be able to create a legacy for you and your family. I got Steve Mernick with me here as well, and he's a prime example of somebody that has been made, not necessarily born. And Steve can tell you his story here in just a second as well. But the 4 qualities that we have consistently seen, and these aren't the only 4 qualities, but these are 4 things that we consistently see is, number 1, necessity. We see that most successful entrepreneurs, especially the ones that come into our community with 0 real estate experience, with 0 business experience, is that they have a necessity to start a business. Steve, this could 100% relate to your story and where you came from.
Yeah. Well, the first 10 years of my career, I was very happy. I was working for my family. And then around that time, the end of that 10-year area, we got bought out by a big corporate business. And then I worked directly with them. I wasn't working with my family anymore. And I just realized I wasn't in control of my destiny at all. Like, I kept on getting these manager jobs, but there was always something in front of me that I couldn't get past. I just felt stagnant. I felt unfulfilled. It just wasn't working. I needed something else, right? And I just like my grandfather. I mean, he built a business over 70 years. It started with a toolbox and walking door to door. Then it turned into multiple small shops that turned into a big warehouse that housed like 80 employees. He didn't know what the results of this was going to be. He just knew that if he stayed disciplined and he kept working, this has to work out for his family. He had like 7 kids. So he was so driven to make this work. A little bit of necessity there. Yeah. It's just you got to have a strong why. That's so important.
Yeah. So talk about why you went from being in your family business to then wanting to start this business. Because I remember picking up the phone when you called in. I think it was like off of maybe a Facebook ad or something like that, and you were interested in starting a creative financing business. So tell us, what was that necessity and why you need to get started in this new business?
Yeah, it's actually taken me a couple of years to know what my why was. What I originally thought it was like my kids, my family. Of course, we're all going to do everything for our kids and our family, but I had to go deeper. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that, what my grandfather had built, he created 3 generations of business and passed down to the family. And I felt that it was so important to me for someone to carry that on, because I watched my family members, or I should say my uncles and aunts, 5 years left of their retirement left, and they became W-2 workers. And I just saw that look in their eye. It wasn't that fulfilled happiness anymore. And outside of the fact of these businesses that were built, there was this tradition of all my family members working together, built this culture within my family where we would have dinner every Sunday. We'd all be together, and our actual family is so tight that I thought, well, what if somebody in my family didn't carry on this entrepreneurship and continue the culture that was built over 70 years? And, who knows, when I'm my grandfather's age, right? I want people to be able to look back and see, what it was that somebody in the family did to continue this tradition. It's so important to me.
Yeah, so a necessity of legacy then.
Yeah, 100%.
So necessity is number 1. Number 2 would be development. And I mean a dedication to development. See, I was a bartender and personal trainer just a short 8 years ago at the time of the filming of this. And I had to significantly develop myself from becoming a bartender to a real estate investor, brand new real estate investor, to a business owner, to then CEO, and then partner in multiple businesses. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened through consistent development of business skills, emotional skills, financial skills over and over and over again over the course of that 8+ years. So having a real dedication to development would be number 2. And we see the more dedicated that you can be to development, the faster you'll grow. Even though it's always going to take all of us, we're all going to be on different paths in the length of time it's going to take us in order to become very successful and or achieve success, depending on what that would look like to you, that we can always shorten that time frame with more development. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is consistency. See, I was lucky enough to sit in the office next to my brother-in-law, Nick, for many years, about those entire 8 years before we ended up going virtual due to COVID. And Nick's consistency to his craft, not only as a real estate investor, but also as a public speaker, is unlike most are willing to dedicate to that. And I remember hearing him on a daily basis go through his scripts. This is the reason why the students that we work with, our associates, they all go to Nick in order to help close their deals. And that's because Nick has dedicated himself to the scripts in the process of bringing a buyer or a tenant buyer through the entire process to get them to the finish line and becoming a homeowner over the course of a certain amount of years. And that dedication, that consistency over and over again is really why he's able to develop so fast. And we see that a lot in our students that are seeing success, especially in a short period of time. And then the 4th one would be discipline. I know this is a soft spot in Steve's heart, so I'll let Steve talk about discipline.
Yeah, discipline is incredibly important. I believe Mike Tyson said discipline is doing what you hate but doing like you love it. It's incredibly important here because the realistic side is the most successful people are showing up every single day for themselves, their business, whatever. It's essential to growth here.
Yeah, Peter Taunton, actually a good friend of ours, was speaking on stage, and he said that discipline and consistency are the 2 number 1 qualities that he looks for when he goes and partners with people to do real estate deals and business deals. Mm-hmm. And he's grown and scaled Snap Fitness and sold it out multiple times. So when it comes to discipline, it just reminds me of a student that's in our current community right now. His name's Rick. He's out of New Hampshire. And his discipline day in and day out is unlike most others. It took him about 12 months to do his first real estate deal, but he was willing to commit day in and day out to the money-producing activities in the real estate, in our real estate business. And although it took him the 12 months to get there, he ended up doing 4 deals back to back to back to back that were worth over $100,000 in projected profits that he'll realize over the course of the next 3 to 10 years. It's that discipline that keeps you going through the hard times. So running through those 4 qualities: necessity, development, consistency, and discipline. If you see those inside you currently, then you're on the right track. If you believe that one of those 4 areas are things that you need to work on, then that's 100% okay as well. It's now recognizing it, being aware, and then putting it into action. So when we look at achieving fulfillment, it comes to alignment. And those 4 things will help you put yourself in alignment with the end result that you're looking to accomplish, who you want to become and where you want to go. So each year at Smart Real Estate Coach and in the Wicked Smart community, we help a group of people really escape their current jobs and help them get to that alignment. So if that's something that you're interested in doing through the creative financing space, go to smartrealestatecoach.com/masters class. It's a great place to start with the fundamentals of creative financing, because this model, just like it has with many others, this business can certainly help you create that path to fulfillment.